Kasey Dunn was no doubt a massive part of the wide receiver U conversation being had in Stillwater, America. But before Kasey Dunn was doing it in Stillwater, Doug Meacham was as well. And Doug Meacham carries a big name in the wide receiver recruiting industry. And we've got a new wide receiver right around the corner to help us talk about it.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things cowboy and cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by Game Time Tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Get the best tickets in the industry with Game Time and do it today. So now that we know that Doug Meacham is, in fact, going to be the offensive coordinator in Stillwater, America, we also know that he brings a rich pedigree in development of wide receivers. Oklahoma State has had a fair share of its fame in the wide receiver department. So, of course, it gives me a lot of pleasure when we continue to have this conversation with yet another new Cowboy wide receiver, ladies and gentlemen. Let us welcome onto the show Cam Powell. How are we feeling today, my guy?
Good. How about you?
Man, I try not to complain, especially the more anticipatory the season becomes, primarily because of the youth that we have on this team from a talent perspective from the 23-24 class. Now, you guys kind of get to bring in the new age of Cowboys football, which is actually pretty exciting because for 20 years, it's been more or less the same thing with more or less most of the same coaches. And now we've kind of bridged the gap and brought somebody back in Doug Meacham. But before we get to that, your recruiting kind of kicked off somewhat early, right? With UNLV being involved early, Arizona State, Utah, and you had a lot of connections even going out as far west as Cal. What, at the end of the day, made the most amount of sense for Oklahoma State? And how did we kind of get in the picture for recruiting your services?
Well, one, I didn't really want to go too far, and then I just always wanted to play in Oklahoma actually since I was younger, and then I heard a lot about Oklahoma State and just it's we're wide receiver U basically, and then they have big names like Dez Bryant and then Tyreek Hill, so I wanted to be a part where it's smart where I go the best receivers would go, so I would go and get developed and be a good receiver and a possible draft pick. So. Yeah.
And ironically enough, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you're talking about guys like Dez Bryant, Justin Blackmon, Hartley Dykes. I think someone that mirrors your game a little bit as well is somebody like a James Washington. You mentioned Tyreek Hill. We've had a lot of wide receivers that have done the thing very, very successfully. And then even recently, right, we have Tay Martin with the San Francisco 49ers. And you kind of fit that mold. I think DFW, a high school inside, famously said, if Kameron Powell is back there, just throw it and he'll get it. That's kind of your MO as the guy, especially when you get into the red zone, that's going to have the ability to overcome everybody and come down with the ball. What about being that pseudo kind of tight end? Because OSU had somebody like that in the last couple of years in Rashad Owens that actually did bulk up, put on 35 pounds, moved to tight end, then he went back out to wide receiver. You seemingly have that same versatility. Now, does that mean you should go put on 40 pounds and become a tight end? No, it doesn't. All right, don't. But having that ability to be an absolute threat in the red zone, did that come to you naturally, or was that something that you decided that you were going to excel at, was the jump ball and the catch radius and that stuff?
I say it came to me a little naturally. I really had to work on it more because I started figuring out I'm bigger than most dudes, so why not use my size to advantage? And then I started getting the hang of it. Started working with my trainer, Coach Hicks. Started working on red zone stuff, and then once I just worked on it more, and I realized I could really just wherever the ball is, one hand, two hand, I can go up and get it. So I mean, it just made it more easier for me to score more touchdowns, I guess.
So you've got a big vertical capability, you've got big hands, and you like to punish defenders whenever you get by them. And I'll admit to you, it seems very subtle in watching the film, right? You make very subtle movements, but they seem to create a significant amount of separation. Is it your speed is elusive with your size? Do people underestimate your speed, or is it just your technical route running that you think makes the biggest difference? Because you create separation when sometimes it doesn't even look like you're always trying to.
Yeah, I'll say my speed. People get shocked because I'm like bigger, so they probably think I'm like slower. But I have like, let's say, a little burst speed to me, so I can like, get off the line easier than most guys. I guess it's just like more technique that I've just been working on. So yeah.
And you're currently sitting at like 6'2", 205. Is that right currently? And the objective, before you get to campus, I know you're coming in early. You're part of the group that's going to enroll early. You just graduated yesterday or the day previous, correct?
Today, yeah.
Today's the day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is going to be a very exciting time for you, obviously, because, again, you have this new transitionary period where Oklahoma State's going from a lot of seniors to now going to be relying upon a lot of people. But I'll tell you, what seems to be the most exciting to me is just a fan. And tell me, is this, as an incoming player, the fact that we have all new coaches, like 99.999% new coaches, what I love about it is everybody starts with a clean slate. Whether you're an incoming freshman, redshirt freshman, junior, senior, it doesn't matter, because these coaches, most of them are coming from the NFL or other major programs. They're not coming in with a preconceived notion of, I think these guys should be my starters. They're simply going to go with the guys who perform the best, who get the most out of it early. But I have another question. I'm sure you already are aware that playing significant minutes at this level as a true freshman is a difficult proposition. I know Royal feels like he's an individual that can get out there and make it rock and roll pretty early on. He said the same about you. So other than the confidence, what do you think that you're bringing to Oklahoma State that will give you the capability to potentially play extremely early on?
I feel like I'm bringing that championship mindset. Like, a lot of people talk about going like to bowl games and all that, but I'm thinking about the bigger picture. I'm trying to go like to a national championship now. That's a 12-team playoff. So I feel like if a lot of people with that mindset go in, we could like win a lot. And I feel like I'm one of those guys with that mindset. No matter what, I'm trying to get a starting spot. Whoever there, it doesn't matter. I just want to play. So.
And do you have a preference? I know you're traditionally more of a Z guy, but I know you can play the X. You have the ability to flex and kind of play a slot, kind of Y position as well. Do you know strategically what you're coming to do here? Are you coming to play the Z with some X, or are you going to be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife that does all of them?
But I think I'm playing Z that does a little bit of X. So, yeah.
And you got to, of course, if we're going to be name dropping Dez, you got to learn to throw up the X, of course. Whenever you get them touchdowns at Boone Pickens Stadium. And what you mentioned, I saw in an interview, staying close to home was important, but the family atmosphere was crucial. And why I find this important is you said that before you ever got an Oklahoma State offer. So before the Oklahoma State offer, as your recruiting kept heating up, what was it about Oklahoma State that kind of sealed that deal? Because we were kind of late to the party in giving you an offer. So what, at the end of the day, completely changed your mind and made Oklahoma State the right fit?
I say it's definitely the family atmosphere, and then like plus like Oklahoma don't really have like an NFL team or whatever, so like they invest a lot into college sports, and I just like that fact about it, that like all the fans gonna like be there, and just like it's crazy. Like I like that stuff.
I'm very glad you said that, because people have made the argument, because we do support the Oklahoma City Thunder and we sell off that stadium quite often. So there has been, the conversations of having an NFL style team. I've always been one of the people that wanted no part of it because of what you just said. Oklahoma State, that takes precedence, and it's literally the top bill. You have to be going to Stillwater and Norman to get the full-on experience, and I absolutely love that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that as part of the drill. And as we talked previously a little bit before, another thing is the area is going to allow you to have family at a lot of games.
Sure.
And I know that was important, and so we're obviously extremely excited. So now we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other threats that you bring to the table and some things that you could potentially want to work on before getting to Stillwater, other than the jump ball, right? We know you have that in your repertoire. But before we do that, I do have to remind the fine people out here that there's a lot of ways that life can get crazy and you can become forgetful. I don't know about you, but I forget all the time. That's primarily just because I'm a dude, though. Rocket Money allows you to be a dude and remain forgetful if need be, because they're going to have everything squared away for you. Whenever you're looking at the things that get swept under the rug and you forget about, with Rocket Money, it's going to let you know how many subscriptions you need to get rid of because you didn't realize you're still paying for them. Rocket Money's made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant with you 24/7. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members almost $740 a year while utilizing the app. The personal touch is the best thing for me because it's one of the features with the subscription tracker. You're going to be able to use it to cancel services you want anytime. And you're going to be able to save a ton. With the goals feature, it allows you to automatically set aside money for the future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Rocket Money is the answer. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Go there today to get yourself squared away and all the stuff you have to remember. It makes it a lot easier. Another part of life is getting the right tickets at the right time to literally almost anything, and Game Time tickets is the bee's knees and what you're going to need. They allow you to have togetherness this holiday season because it's not just about sports, music, comedy, theater, whatever the case is around you. Get the right tickets with the Game Time picks. This is going to filter out all the fluffy stuff so you get the best deals and don't have to waste time searching through thousands of hours of unnecessary tickets. Game Time is the best. The feature is going to allow you to toggle the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout and the all-in pricing. The lowest price guarantee means that Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of you buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, redeem that code, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Get with Game Time tickets today. All right, we get to shift gears once again back with Cam Powell. We've talked about your ability to go up and out vertical everybody. So I know you haven't done the exact testing, but if you were to guess, what would you guess the vertical is? Because by the way you get over people's head, the head topper abilities, you got to be in the 38, 39 range, my guy. So if you don't know exactly what it is, when can you give us an update on how your head topping abilities continue to inch out?
Like, when can I give you like an exact number?
That's right.
Probably during off season, when I get up there, to Stillwater. But I mean, last time when I went to the camp, I think it was like 37, 38. So I was close.
Well, you get to get hooked up with Rob Glass, which was one of the best, if not the best, great strength and conditioning coach in the country. So from vertical speed, all that's going to be pretty seamless for you. From a weight gain perspective, if I heard you correctly, the objective is to get up around 215, 216-ish here fairly quickly. Is that still the primary objective for you?
Yeah, I think so too. Around that's like 225, 220, around that range. I mean, that's not really bad weight because I was like 215 in the spring. So, I mean, that won't be
okay. That makes a lot. And I know you used to run track, right? So getting the speed back's not going to be that big of a deal. As Royal said, you can bang a 9 route with the best of them in America. But outside of getting down the sideline, what are some of the other parts of the route tree that you have a lot of fun with, right? I know sometimes you run a pivot route as an inside receiver. That's a route that Brendan Presley is phenomenal at. He's going to have the NFL ability to showcase it. Other than the 9 route, what are some other routes that you absolutely love?
Definitely the slant. I'm not going to lie. Slant is different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different mentality too.
I just like it. And then plus, like, just the releases you can do off of it, it's, like, pretty nice. So I like slants or, like, digs, just going across the middle. I know, like, a lot of people, like, scared because you're going to get hit. But, I mean, I think that's, like, the beauty of football, taking a hit. So, I mean, I like it.
Well, it's definitely a part of the gig. It's part of the game. And, of course, you being that size, you being the physicality, I freaking love it, dude. Right? You have that defender. You're like a linebacker playing wide receiver with a linebacker's mentality. And that allows you the aggressiveness to be really good at blocking. And talk a little bit about that. That's another thing that I've noticed, that you're a lockdown dude. You obviously take a lot of pride in the blocking aspect of it. What about that is the most fun for you? Because it's not the sexy part of football, right? But it's a necessary part of football. You seem to have almost too much fun getting pancakes way out there. Where does that come from?
It came from, I say it started around, like, middle school, and then it developed in high school. Like, our coaches were, like, trying to make a deal, like, who gets so many pancakes. And I just used to like it because, like, I thought of it like if my teammates over there making plays, I want to be, like, a part of the play too. So being a part of it is, like, going out there and just blocking somebody. And then the more, like, I block the DB, he's not going to want to, like, press me anymore. So I just found that, like, so fun, just blocking. It made me, like, a part of it. So I liked it.
Well, before you get on to Stillwater, right, I always like to just ask, what are some of the things that you like to do for fun? Are you a hunting, fishing, gaming kind of guy? You like to go out and hoop it up? Kind of what's your relaxation time typically look like, brother man?
I like to go fishing or just, like, play basketball a lot. I like to fish a lot. I'm actually getting better at it. I mean, I used to be, like, just weirded about like the fish. I don't know. It's, like, weird. But, like,
Well, dude, fish are just crazy in general, right? Because their nerves last for forever, and it's a trip. But it's a phenomenal sport. It is very relaxing, and of course, in Stillwater, you got Lake Carl Blackwell right up the road there. Whenever you look back into your game, what other than obviously the weight gain and just kind of fine tuning some of the speed? What are some of the intricate details that you want to work on whenever you get there? Is it something as far as bench is concerned or squat is concerned, or work on something in the route tree? What do you think that you need to do without talking to any coaches for you to kind of take that next step to put you in position to play right away in Stillwater?
Probably everything, really. I mean, you can never not, like, get better. So I mean, probably, like, bench. Our bench right now 305, so I could get that up. I want to get, like, at least 315, and then of course my route running, and then catching ability. I mean, you can just I like to work on anything I can because you can never not get better. Just get better every day. So yeah.
Now, that's another question I wanted to ask you. The catch radius. I saw that you'd mentioned that you like to watch a lot of Odell Beckham, and your hand size and your radius is pretty comparable. Is that another thing that came naturally, or do you practice those crazy, wild, acrobatic catches? I see you out there doing some wads. Does that come naturally, or do you work on that?
I wouldn't say it came naturally. I have to work on it. Like, our dad, he makes me
Got
work
you.
stuff and, like, one hand catches because I knew, like, one day I would be able to use them, and I just worked on it so much over the years. It kind of just comes natural to me. Like, if the ball's up and, like, a DB has my arm, I just go up with one hand. So I feel like that kind of, like, separates me from a lot of receivers. So I can just go one hand at will. So yeah.
And do you have like a lot of brothers, sisters? Kind of what's the shakeout in that department?
It's like 5 boys and then 1 girl. So it's just yeah.
Goodness me, man.
Yep.
And where are you at in the age range of everybody?
I'm the third, so I'm like the middle for sure.
And whenever you went through the recruiting process, was the trip to Stillwater kind of big time for your parents? Were they able to go with you on a lot of your officials and everything as well?
My mom came with me, but during Stillwater, like, my whole family came, so it kind of, like, it was a big deal, and they liked it a lot, so that meant, like, a lot to me. So yeah.
And I know Arkansas was heavily involved. So at the end of the day, before you picked Oklahoma State, kind of what did it kind of circle down to, like top 3, top 4 style of situation?
I'd probably say the stability.
Minor technical difficulty, but anyway, so whenever you were breaking down the recruiting process, you had a few teams there that it kind of got narrowed down to, but it seemed to be primarily down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas there at the end. And obviously proximity had a decent amount to do with that. I'm sure the family had a hand in it as well. I can tell you, we're definitely excited to have you coming to Oklahoma State, and what was the biggest difference between Arkansas and Oklahoma State from your perspective?
Probably the stability. Oklahoma State has a lot of like stable, like all the coaches been there for so long, and like they know how to win. So I mean, that was like the biggest part for me, just knowing how to win, and like you getting coached up by guys who've been there and seen it all. So
it is wild having the same staff for so many years, but now you get to come in to obviously this big entire new injection that has to be pretty exciting. Obviously, we have Doug Meacham now, who has some cross-pollination to some degree in the recruiting realm when he was at TCU, and you kind of being in that area in Texas. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But before we do that, I do have to, again, tell the fine folks out here, there's always going to be opportunities for you to get in on the action. And now we have college football season ready to go. It's right around the corner, and do not miss a single minute before the Cowboys enter the CFP next year. It is the time to get excited, to get the most college football action. You can't get enough. And now it's here. The college football playoff is back, and now it's expanded to the 12-team format. It's guaranteed to be bigger, badder, and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you know you're going to love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon, followed by the Clemson Tigers looking to take down the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Do not miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. This is going to be more college football that you cannot get enough of. Do not miss out on the action, the 20th and the 21st college football playoff time. All right, buddy. So before we bring it on home here, obviously there's some recruiting tie-ups, right? Being recruited by Sonny Dykes and Doug Meacham. And ironically, it's kind of funny going from the Gary Patterson days of TCU to the transition to Sonny Dykes. Doug Meacham was one of the few coaches that was actually retained and left over from TCU. So he was one of the right-hand men for Sonny Dykes for a few years now. He now brings that to Oklahoma State. But you mentioned some of the best names, right? Doug Meacham was the dude that was roaming the sidelines, coaching wide receivers when we had the Brandon Whedon days, when we had the Dez Bryants, right? And you did mention some of the guys like Tyreek Hill. But Doug Meacham has been absolutely massive recently with the development of John Paul Richardson at TCU. You got Jack Beck coming over from Ohio State, had a massive year at TCU. That developmental game obviously has to have you excited. But what about Coach Meacham specifically do you think is going to be able to bring the most out of you, or what do you see as the most positive attribute of Coach Meacham now being the guy in Stillwater, America?
He always has a lot of experience, and then plus he's been at Oklahoma State before, so he kind of knows, and I feel like he can like help me a lot in like finding like what my specialties are and like just making them better. Because you know he coached guys like Dez Bryant and all them, so you see how that turned out. So I mean, it's really great. So
yeah, and he was also part of the Justin Blackmon tree as well. And I'll tell you a fun thing, right? Did you know that Doug Meacham was actually a player that blocked for Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, and Mike Gundy?
I did not know that, actually. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Coach Meacham is an old school 80s Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Crazy. Yeah. That makes him even more excited. Cool.
Exactly, dude. And look at it from his perspective, right? He got to play with Barry, with Thurman, with Gundy, with Hartley Dykes. So he's seen, you know, kind of the different iterations of the peaks. He was here in 2010, 2011, when we won the Big 12 title game and beat Andrew Luck and Stanford in the Fiesta Bowl, that 12-1 season. Those are the days that we obviously would like to get back to. And I appreciate us kind of connecting the dots because Meacham was around for all of it. The Barry Sanders success in the 80s, he was there. The Big 12 titles, the Brandon Whedons, the Dez Bryants, the Justin Blackmons, the Zach Robinson days, he was here for all of that. And then, of course, now you've got Cooper Bassett, O-line coach, former Cowboy, alongside Andrew Mitchell, another former Cowboy. I do like bringing all of this back, dude. And to have some of those guys on the sidelines again, dude, that's got to be pretty exciting for you. Imagine the day that you get to catch a touchdown with Dez Bryant, Justin Blackmon, and Tylan Wallace chilling on the sidelines. Because it's coming, man. I can feel it. I'm so pumped up for this season. This was the worst year as an Oklahoma State fan in essentially my lifetime. You have to go back to 1994 before Oklahoma State went 0 in conference play. So the fact that your class gets to be the first class of the rebuild, which is not something I thought I'd ever have to say, because for the last 20 years, dude, winning 7, 8 games was a disaster of a season.
Yeah.
I never thought there would be a day we would win 3 games. I honestly never thought it would happen. But here we are. And you stayed loyal and true throughout the process, even though you had people coming in heavy, especially at the very end, trying to acquire your services. So thank you for that. I appreciate, that core nucleus of you guys, like with Perez and Royal, that have all kind of galvanized and stayed together. You get to join some of the Cowboys that we already have as a wide receiver. I think Io Shotomai King is going to be big. Talon Shetron's a big name. Cam Hurd is going to be somebody that we need to pay attention to. And then there's you, and there's Royal, and there's Perez and Matrail Lopez. I am super pumped. Now, I do need to ask you something before we get out of here. Royal said he's got you in a foot race, so dude. I mean, come on now.
I can get him. I'll catch him.
Yeah. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Let the fine folks out here know before we get off of here, what would you like to say to Oklahoma State country? And when are you going to be down here? And more importantly, how can Cowboy country follow along with your progress and your trip down to Stillwater?
I'll be down there January 8th. I just want to say restore order 25, and we're going to bring it back. So, yeah, let's work.
And you're seemingly a little bit more active on like Instagram as opposed to Twitter. Is that accurate?
Sure.
So I got your X handle down right there below you. Let the fine folks out here know what is your Instagram handle and what are some of the other ways that they can track the progress that you have going.
My Instagram is kind of the same as my Twitter, but it's cam.p2 instead of the underscore. And then our Snapchat is ttm_KAM. So y'all go at me.
I love it. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate you staying loyal and true. This wide receiver crew that's coming through is going to be absolutely phenomenal, especially with Doug Meacham at the helm, to go alongside some of the veterans that we now have on the roster to help you guys flourish. It's going to be a great time. I cannot wait for it. I'm glad you're showing up early. We'll have to kind of hook up again at some point in time and see how spring ball is going for y'all as well. All right, buddy. Travel safe. I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Everybody, Kameron Powell, one of the newest wide receivers to help represent and bring back the lure, the mystique of wide receiver once again to Stillwater, America. All right, man. I appreciate you. For everybody else out here, that's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike if you don't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. On podcast people out there, do what you do. Hit the stars, leave a review. That's all we're going to have for this later. My taters.